this time we go again a little bit with the course that we are doing. So it's about the etheric vision and vision beyond our regular senses, which we can put in a wider category of third eye. But when we speak about third eye, a lot of times we concentrate on the point on the forehead, right in between of the eyes. That's not necessarily where it must be. It could be there, but it could be everywhere else. So we want to explore a little bit where those third eyes could be, and can we have more than one? And if we do, where they all are and how we use them, and how do we make sure they are not giving us a wrong radio station information, so that we think that we are tuning into a super aligned cosmic information, and what comes through is what they are broadcasting from the basement in the Pentagon or something. So that's going
we
to
wanted to expand a little bit, this first idea of this third eye, and to look at it from all angles, so to understand what and where and how, and to make it once again our own private connection that we are sure about, where it comes, where it's plugged in, and what exactly it broadcasts.
Yeah. So something that we really know is ours from the experience, and it cannot be tricked. So as usual, what we want to start with is to ask you guys, what are you guys using? Where is your third eye, and how, well, maybe what you see when you close your eyes, and how do you extract that information into something useful, and where does it come for you personally from? Yes, Lisa. And unmute, please. Yeah, great.
I just feel people going, oh God.
Oh, it's Lisa again. Oh my God.
Well, if it's Lisa, we're gonna have some fun.
So I'd like to share a really cool story. Can you hear feedback? Because I'm hearing myself.
Yeah, we hear you well.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just turn that. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
So I have been to see a traditional healer on 3 occasions, and that's why I came up way north to see this lady for her massage. And she's asking me all of these questions each time about all different things. She said to me one day, so where's the universe in your body? And I said, oh, in my eyes. And she said, yeah, but okay. How can you see the universe then if it's in your eyes? And I said, I don't know, because it was in a meme. And she said, what her people do from her particular family group, because there's many tribes, what they do to see the universe is close your eyes and just press really gently on the corners of your eyeballs, and you get those sparkles that come up that looks like what are those things that you look through? The kaleidoscope. That looks like the kaleidoscope that comes in. And I said, oh, I love kaleidoscopes. And she said, oh, kaleidoscopes are man-made. And when I did it, it's like, oh yeah, that's the sparkles that come up, and then all of the geometric shapes and rah. And she said, you sit on that for long enough, you need to sit on it, and whatever questions you ask, and that's how they interact with the universe. And she was saying that she does it for 2 days straight. She'll sit with her fingers on her eyes, communicating through with the universe. So I thought that was really interesting that this topic came up when this woman's just given me, I just love other people's, the ways that they look into things. But then when I was doing it, I remember telling you how everything for me when my eyes have opened have started to pixelate. And this is the same. It's like, this is what's happening when my eyes have been open with this strange pixelation thing that's been going on. But yeah, she also talked about senses, and she's like, you can smell with your vagina. And it was like, yeah, I don't know that I'd exercise that muscle of learning how to smell with my vagina, but I totally get it. So this idea that here intuition is here, that's rubbish. It really is. I mean, it's an amazing place, but when we look at, like, you know, with the little girl who's with the chrism, the connection, all of the hormonal organs are all connected with each other. They're all very important. It just happens that we have rods and cones that are in these two eyes that are in that eye, which I find quite astounding, that there is an eye in there. But intuition, not here, even through my bum hole. So this lady was saying.
So for you, Lisa, it's you're using that method of the pressing of the eyes.
Oh, I did it. Well, yes, of course. It's like, probably not for lovely people like yourselves, but if someone offers you a drug, it's like, yeah, I'll give that a go. It's been, with the last time I saw her was maybe 10 days ago, a little bit over 10 days ago. And it doesn't, obviously it only works when the sun is on. When I'm in pitch black, it's like, oh, it doesn't so much. But yeah, it's great fun because it's like being on acid. So I've been told.
It's like being on acid, just cheaper.
But the messages as well, it's with sitting on it, and like with how you guys, teach with dreams, and, go into that with the intention, with questions in your dreams that need answered, and rah. It's that same, it's that exactly the same process of going into that really deep meditative state. There might be an intention there, and putting that intention out and seeing, feeling what's received then. But for me, it's just really, I've never sat that long on my eyes and done it before. So I'm still in that, whoa, this is trippy stage, still looking at it and not like plowing into it to receive what's, all of those whispering messages.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah, and great point that you bring up. Yeah, that's where we are going to steer the conversation as well, to understand that we cannot limit intuition to be located in one specific place, and thus also efforts in developing one specific place in order to get in touch with intuition is maybe not efficient. So good for really bringing it up.
Who else? Yes, Sylvia.
Thank you. So I don't really see with my third eye, but I hear. So I think I have two. And it very, very often it comes as an auditory message. And I feel its vibration. So sometimes I feel certain things in my body, depends on, let's say, if it's about a client, then I feel the client's sensations, or if there is anything in her body, I often sense it. And what comes through very, very often for my clients, that actually the third eye is in their heart. And for me, it's more of a whole body feeling. So it's almost like I become a third eye kind of experience. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, the heart.
Exactly.
We get one more source. It's amazing. Yes.
Yes, I love this this song. Manish Demur, he has a single that's called "All Seeing Eye," and the text goes, "In the heart of all beings, there's an all-seeing eye," and something like, "It doesn't tell lies." But it really, in the heart of all beings, there's an all-seeing eye.
Beautiful. How about some of you guys? Where do you feel your third eye? Yes, Eve.
Hi everyone. It's really interesting that this topic came up because I don't know how long it's been going on for. I don't really have a recollection of when it began, but sometimes I just close my eyes, particularly at night time, and I just see it's like a fast real film, like just traveling really, really fast, but I can't slow it down. I can't get like a real I can't zoom in, but it's just like and nothing makes sense, but it's like I can just see all these and it's all very kind of cartoony sometimes, even like but it's really fast, and I can't zoom in, so I have no idea whether I'm making what I'm just what's going on. So when you guys said this, I was like, I think I really need to tune into this one, because I have no explanation and have no idea what to do with it. And in terms of intuition, in other areas, this is all still so new to me, you know, like it's something that I'm still developing. Like I don't really have, I'm definitely operating at a higher frequency because life is just so, you know, it's smooth and it's sailing and it's really at ease, and the serendipity, you know, so everything like is beautiful. So I know that I'm following something, but I don't know, I don't have a you know, my mind can't comprehend what's going on, which maybe isn't a bad thing anyway. So that's about all I have to share.
Thank you, Eve.
Yeah, that's interesting about this movie that you're seeing, but you have no control over it. Yeah, we'll touch on that, where it might come from.
Yes, Giacomo, and great to see you there in Komodo. We happen to know.
Yeah. I'm still stuck here because Bali's on a lockdown, so they're not letting anybody in who doesn't have a vaccine. So I'm stuck here for the moment. Yeah, yeah, it's not bad, but still, yeah, I'd like to go home. No, what I have learned a technique to use my third eye through a prayer. It was a course on Akashic records, and it was really, really beautiful. And it took 15 days, but that through that prayer, I can really activate and give psychic readings. I've been doing it now for about 5 years, and I'm pretty impressed, because it really allows you to see into that person's things and past lives and energies and this and that. So it's I guess it's all a mental thing, because how can a prayer, I guess it brings you to the right vibration, and that vibration lets you see what you need to see. So it's a weird switch for me, because if I could have a prayer for having ice cream, you know, I would pray for ice cream. But yeah, to me it's right between here, the classic place, and it really activates when it's needed. It's I find it like really interesting, like a muscle. Yeah, it's you know, and it gives answers. You know, when they're, you know, when you're in difficult positions and when you need to make a decision. I really feel it like a strong pull coming out like that. So I think it's very interesting. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. And how cool that you actually have a switch to switch it on and off, because you know, for some people they just get it and cannot tune out, so it's too much information. So it's really good to switch.
Yes, I agree with that, because sometimes I don't really want to know. I don't care. And actually, I think the more readings I give to people, I think the less interested I am, because I'm more and more believing that you live your own life and your own destiny. Why do you need to know so much? Yeah, not knowing is bliss. It's my new philosophy.
Yeah, actually, it makes so much sense. As a matter
Yeah.
of fact, speaking with Damanor, what they call our senses is filters, that we are actually filtering stuff out. So what we are getting in is just a small bandwidth of things. Otherwise, we would get crazy out of the amount of information that we would get. So what people pray for is to see more and to see deeper and all that, that they are asking for trouble, because it could be too much. It definitely could be too much. So
Yes, I've had situations where, you know, pretty strong images came through, and they were not. I don't think they needed to know. That's and I don't think they shouldn't know. Yeah, if they don't remember or if it hasn't happened yet, let it be. Yeah, just let it. Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss sometimes. Beautiful. Thank you, Giacomo. Great. Beautiful to hear it. Hey, Hannah.
Hey, Hannah.
Yes, Anna.
So I had an experience in meditation, and it was quite unusual because normally doesn't really happen. Like I am not one of these people. I have friends who when they meditate, they get so many visions and images, and usually I wasn't one of them. And then one time it happened that I actually got a very clear picture that came true like 2 weeks later. So basically, I saw myself in a hospital with a certain person, and then 2 weeks later I broke my wrist and this person actually brought me to the hospital, and the scene that I saw 2 weeks before in this meditation was like happening. So this was like quite unusual in a sense that I sometimes have this um, future scenes that come true, but usually in dream state. And in life I feel I'm connected, but it's more like I feel that my whole body is connected. So it's like my body kind of feels already what's coming very often, and it's like so accurate, like antenna that picks up all the information and details, and I will feel it. I will feel in my gut, okay, you shouldn't go there, you know, it's not a good idea. And it's always true. So that's why sometimes even when I was younger, it was amazing because I could cancel something last minute, and people would try to talk me into it. They would be like, oh my god, but you don't do this, and they already paid the hotel for you, you know, or like they already arranged the travel travel yeah, flights, whatever. And I would just go with my intuition, and it was always correct, you know, because then something happened in the location, or like the people turned out not to be trustworthy, etc., etc. So this is how I operate. But I physically I do feel it here, in a sense that sometimes when I meditate on it, I mean sometimes always when I meditate on it, or like sing mantra for activation, I feel it physically, like vibrating very strongly. But I never kind of made any other connections. So yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you, Anna. So then, yeah, coming as visions, but sometimes coming as like the feeling in the whole body. That's what I'm getting from your sharing, like a knowing in a way. Beautiful. Thank you. Who else would like to share? What is your preferred seeing beyond method or an organ? Where is your third eye? Or a third ear? Yes, Hannah.
I would say that for me, it's sometimes actually through the voice and the songs that I write that I'm wondering, why am I even coming up with these words or with this topic? So sometimes that's happening, that I write a song before actually I have the feeling where I get to be there. And then an interesting way for me is actually social media. So that I kind of sometimes look up people or some stuff pops up, and then very shortly after I get to connect with exactly this person or with this project. Just happened like a few days ago. And yeah, otherwise I would agree that it's also like a knowing in the body. It's not necessarily here. Like sometimes I do feel like a pulsation, but I wouldn't say that I perceive or interpret in that way.
Cool. Thank you. Interesting that about the social media. It's almost like, again, opening a channel and checking and opening a channel, and then something comes through the channel, like a switch. Very, very cool. Anyone else would like to share? Yes, Zane.
Hi. So for me, it's more, I feel it in a classical place, and it's more like pulsating, tickling when it's active, and the vision more comes like a mix with the feeling and seeing, which I will translate in my way. But yeah, for that I still need more trust in my vision. And also I have a question: how do we uh, how do we see that we are not going with our vision in the rabbit hole? That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, good question, because I know why you're bringing up the rabbit hole, because because sometimes we did shamanic journeys through the crystals, and crystals are portals to the other worlds, and there can be beings that kind of greet you, like in every shamanic journey you have archetypes that take you to the place, to the next place, and to the next place with your question. And yeah, exactly, if you're not aware or trained, there are some beings that drag you down the rabbit hole just for fun, and give irrelevant visions. So, and that is literally, that looks like a rabbit hole.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, we will cover that question as well. It's an important question. Pretty much, how can we trust the thing that comes, information that comes through whatever our preferred third eye is? Anyone else is sharing about their experiences? Yes, Miriam.
Well, you say enthusiastic, yes, Miriam, but Miriam doesn't know really. Somehow, I don't know, it's just, I trust that whatever comes out, especially when I facilitate, that's when I feel it the most, that I work according to my intuition. But I don't see energies, I don't hear, but somehow, sometimes I feel it in my body, sometimes it's just a knowing. And for a long time, it frustrated me that I couldn't pinpoint it out. But getting the feedback from the people that it's just spot on, or sometimes that I say something to a friend and she said, oh my God, it's always true. You're saying things, what I'm thinking. So I think, okay, that's happening, but I can't grab it. So I don't know. I trust that there's a knowing there, but I don't know exactly where. But yeah. And I kind of gave up looking for it. I just trust that whatever I do in life, and I'm committed that I'm doing the right thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either it's from here or from where, I don't know. Yeah.
But it's great. Thank you. It's great to actually have this as well. It doesn't really matter from where it comes. So it's great to actually have this example as well, because we will see through now the course of the sharing that it really doesn't matter where it is. What matters is, if we have a favorite spot, well, good, we have something to concentrate on. But it's actually not about the place, it's about exactly that we are saying. It's about having a specific vibration and frequency, and from that frequency to actually interact with others who are having that frequency, but they're temporarily not at it. So it's great that if you have a feedback that people come back to you and say, oh my god, you are spot on, well, there's something to it. And if it repetitively happens and people keep coming and giving you confirmation, well, then you're totally onto something. So it's good enough of a confirmation for me. Yeah.
Okay, then let's start.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we can start with opening the topic in two different categories, because we tend to put all kind of seeing beyond into the like third eye category, but it's not entirely true. And now through your sharings, you beautifully highlighted that yes, there is a physical sensation in the forehead, and enough of documentation throughout the history of humankind about pineal gland and pituitary and all that. So that is true. And then from the other side, you are all confirming that it's a body sensation, that it's kind of inner knowing, that it's more subtle and has no images to it. And this is because the whole extrasensory perception, as we should call it, happens on two different levels. One is through the subtle senses, which is connected to the immediate reality and the timeline that we're on, and the environment that we're in, and people that surround us. And the second category is this extrasensorial perception that reads into the Akashic field. And they are not quite the same things. At least they don't use the same antenna to connect. For what you need to understand about going to a place or meeting someone or dealing with your immediate synchronicities, it wouldn't necessarily be the third eye. It would be those other subtle senses if they're developed enough. But if you want to know something specific about someone or for someone anywhere in time, or you want to retrieve some information from the subtle realms, like downloading whatever is useful for you at that moment, that uses another door. So those are two different things, and we will try to see how they work individually, so that we don't expect the vision where actually it's not even supposed to be. Yeah, when it's that immediate surroundings and synchronicity, the vision is rarely involved, because there's so many. Vision is just one out of 37 senses, as the Damanorians would call. And it's by far, for them, it's absolutely not the most relevant one, nor the important. For example, to show you the extent of our craziness and involvement in the subject, we participated in a subtle senses course where the whole point of the 3 days of the workshop was to grow a tail.
To activate our tail.
To activate our tail. Because, that's... Well, eventually it was even crazier than that, but okay. Let's keep it to the tail. And the Damanorians, well, they're going in their journey, and they're like very, very far out with these technologies. But it was surprising how little they give importance to any kind of visions. They are focusing
it's very
over
deceptive.
and over on sensations, on sensations and sensations only. because the vision can be corrupted. It's very deceptive. It can be, you know, anyone can suggest you a movie to see, and when we're not trained in discernment, it can be, you know, derouting. Actually, it can lead us to some loops. Yeah. So what they really highlighted, and it was very interesting, well, besides now that we all have our subtle tails, yeah, but and it's a process, you know, to get it. It's not like boom and it's done. It was a whole ordeal. But uh, they highlighted how even, you know, your skin is a organ of perception, and not only of, you know, environment on a physical level, but on, you know, you smell people, you you feel the intention with your hair on the hand, you know, you evolve in a sea of energies, and these organs that we have in our body that echo with the environment, collect information, send it back, and translate into a feeling. Yeah. Very rarely it translates into an image. So most of the time you'll hear yourself say, I don't know why, but I don't feel it. I don't, you know, I don't feel like it. Uh, I don't know why, but I feel resistant to going there. There are other reasons, you know, why you might feel resistant, wounds and etc. But in general, when you have this unqualifiable feeling, which comes, of course, also from the gut, but gut is just the like center where it's collected. It can come from your skin, from your fingernail, from your ears, from your hair, anything picks up the information, sends it to sort of, you know, the gut, that brain, and then sends it to the brain that can translate it into thought and convert into action. So it's a very kind of it's a very reliable mechanism. That's why, you know, we can't repeat enough, including to myself personally every day, that to trust the body, to be connected to the body, because it does know what's the best for you at all times, and it never lies. When something is really not in resonance with you, the body will know. The vision, not always, because there's always, the vision gives only a partial picture. So that's why, you know, seeing in the future, and as Giacomo said, seeing other people's kind of moments of life, we have to be very careful with that, because we have this joke with Zane that, oh my God, luckily we don't see things in the future, because if our past self saw us on riding on the back of the motorbike with a priest in Bali with kind of weird grass crowns and crystal in hand. I mean, it can be completely out of context. Yeah. So sometimes when you catch yourself doing what you're doing right now, you think, thanks God, I didn't see that in my vision when I was 20. Otherwise, you can completely misinterpret what is the way to get there and what it means. Yeah. So that's the little problem with visions that are out of context or too remote from your actual moment in time.
Yeah, the other reason why the vision is the least reliable one is that we have just abused our eyes so much. We have exposed so much stuff to them that they have gathered way too much information from way too many weird sources, and we don't know when these little puzzle pieces will reassemble them, you know, based on any subtle impulse in some sort of way. So yeah, for some people it definitely is reliable, but we would say for most people it would be advisable to develop something that is less than their dominant sense. So all of us, our dominant sense is the sense of seeing, because this is literally through what we receive 90% of information right now, how we are set up. So it would be great to take an alternative way that is less overwhelmed by stuff.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, even the physical seeing, I was fascinated by those videos of kids who ride the bikes with eyes completely blindfold, and people who read and see colors and everything. with, you know, with total blindfold on the eyes, which means that it's our being, even physical world. What we see from our eyes is colors and shapes, but actually we at all times we see with the whole body. And these experiments, seeing without the eyes, or blind people seeing, well, obviously without eyes, is a proof that at all times it's our body that is perceiving, and our brain is the place where it's translated into some, you know, something that coherent, something that makes sense. So the other aspect of visual seeing, as Giacomo mentioned, is connection to you know, the field of information, the Akashic records, and it has many other names. But if we want to retrieve something really specific, it's a great idea to have this. This switch, the little bridge to go there. Sometimes we inherit from our past lives already that bridge is inbuilt, but then it comes uninvited, and you know, so many people, like all the psychics that I know who have a natural gift from the beginning and who see things for other people, they don't last long because they don't know what to do with this information and this capacity. So it's better to have that door in place and being able to open it, go in, and
At
come
will,
out at
yeah.
will. And that prayer that leads to opening Akashic records is actually like a code. You know, you type ting 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 password. Those words don't mean much by themselves, but in that context, it's really like a code to open a specific frequency where that information becomes available. Yet it has its limitations because the beings through which it's provided, they always give a similar kind of information. They can't tell people what to do or how it's going to happen or what will be, but there's also a limitation to what can come through that field, because it's a little bit borrowed. That access code gives access to a certain room. You know, it doesn't give access to infinity, for example. It's a rather defined space. So what we can channel from there is very cool for like a daily needs, but it's not the ultimate connection in itself. Yes, Lisa.
So can I ask and also say about when we're just talking about the gross motor senses, like smell, and I'm fascinated by the concept of smell, and it's like the kid that is always ignored in the back of the room. But for me, and like when Vittoria was saying that you know, our eyes have been abused, but so has our smell, and in the sense that the fakeness of smell, this, you know, this polluted smells, we don't smell as we should, and this traditional healer, she works with sexual abuse, girls who've been sexually abused, and she can literally smell on their bodies that a smell comes off them when they're not ready. They smell a certain way when they're not ready. Their bodies aren't ready to go through the process of trauma release. When their bodies are ready to go through that, they smell different. And it's like, this is intuition. And it would just, and we think, okay, oh, this thing that's sitting here, look at the way that our nose goes and where that goes into our brain. Look at when we meditate and we put our tongue at the back here, like this olfactory amazing system. It's like, why don't we focus on the muscle of the smell for our intuition, because it's incredible. So, you know, imagine accessing the Akashic records by just going, and that's it.
Well, Lisa, you're quite right, because it's so as we said in Damanur, they give importance to all senses. Every sense is a portal of its own kind, But what is coming lately very strongly for me is, for example, I smell the rose. I know this is an otherworldly smell. It's not, it's not a smell that you can qualify or quantify. I know it's a bridge, yeah, and I can get lost in the smell of the rose. You can ask Victoria. Like whenever I see a rose, I have my nose in it and I just stay there, because it's and each rose is a particular frequency and a particular bridge to particular place, probably Venus, and if we dwell long enough, for example, jasmine, I'm so fascinated by the smell of jasmine, and it always takes me places. It's like instant meditation. Like for me, that connection that happens through the smell of flowers, not every flower though, but these like gardenia, jasmine, and roses, which I'm sure 100% Venus materialized portals. So it's yet another, and we all have a specific attunement to either go that way or vision. So we have to find actually what's our best way.
Yeah, out of five actual like regular senses, the smell is the least abused actually. Yes, we are exposed to some smells, but we can discern and give names to least amount of different smells by words. So we don't have this association as sharply defined as what we have for the everything else. Hearing, we know the tones, obviously we know colors, and but with the smell, it is one of those mystical ones. And the proof for that is that you can come back to a place that you haven't visited in years. For me, it happened when I went to a certain beach town in Croatia, and I had the smell, and instantly the whole part of my life history came back that I have completely forgotten that I was even involved with. So that ability to recall the whole environment with all details at just one smell is super mystical. And for us, we have not developed it yet enough. And that's one that is innocent. This one we can work with more than trustworthily than the rest of them.
Yeah, and as Vanita says, she also gets lost in the fragrance of gardenia. So gardenia is an alien flower. I don't know it can, I don't know how it can be produced on Earth, that heavenly smell, but also the geometry. So when we combine the geometry of the flower plus its fragrance, plus it's alive for a very short time, so it's never the same. It's not like a mountain that you would visit or see like every now and then. It has its impermanence and the power in that impermanence and the ever renewing I forgot.
Yeah, but
I lost,
geometries.
like as I'm speaking, I'm already lost in that
Mm.
frequency. It's crazy. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it's all to say that we do have the bridges that we don't necessarily know about, and if there's one point that we really wanted to emphasize this time is to take attention out of the third eye possibility only and look what do you already have. Because my first workshop in Ubud, like in spiritual Ubud, I was like, wow, like crazy things happening here, 10 years ago. White Star's third eye opening workshop, where I just walked in like this in complete innocence. And for me, it was completely crazy what was being said, done, and happening there. But it did actually. I understood later that my not trusting my own senses just needed someone to say, okay, this exists, this is real, this is where it is, this is how you do it. And like some validation coming from outside that, it's possible and it exists. And maybe sometimes we go to third eye opening workshop, but you open your sense of feeling with your arm hair. Yeah. And it really did happen, because I was insisting on that question, but how do I know that I see? My question was always, but how do I know that what I see is true? And White Star was very cute. She said, well, for the time being, let's just suppose that you do see, right? And it was such a liberation, actually, to give yourself authorization. Yes, I do see with my third eye, or with my earlobes, or with my little toe. However, I want to authorize myself to feel it. Like Mariam was saying, that it's just happening, not very sure how, and not that this doesn't matter. There's not something that you can enhance or perfect, except gaining more and more trust in your ability to feel with whatever body part that you have. Then if you want that precise information, that is a training, that is really a training. And it's better to not see anything than grab things from you don't know where. So when we want to be very specific and very visual and very kind of farsighted, explore back and forth in the future, in the past, it is a specific training, because it includes the purity check, the security check, and complete knowing of how that channel works. But for what we need most of the time, what we call common sense plus gut feeling, that is plenty enough, and we can bring it to extraordinary level, where literally we will flow in synchronicity, go out of the house in the right moment, pick the right color because it will serve us later. So that is very important, to give ourselves authorization to understand that, and to trust that we do feel at all times what is the best for us, and also trust that other people do for themselves, and try not to damage their already weak self-confidence when they're trying to feel for themselves, And if people ask you to feel for them, or if they ask, shall I do this, shall I do that, it's always very, very wise to empower them to trust what they feel. Like children always, I'm trying always to send my children back to their gut feeling. And now we're in a dramatic situation where we're in between two schools, and you know I'm thinking, maybe I'm an irresponsible parent, but because my daughter says, I have a gut feeling that this school is not entirely good for me. I said, okay, well, no, let's not go to that school if your gut feeling is not right about it. And we have no alternatives either. But this is the moment where I cannot tell her, well, you'll just put up with it, and, you'll go there anyways. So when you empower children or other people to really and respect how they feel things, they will develop beautiful ways of flow, and will be less dependent on anybody's advice. And Giacomo, you might lose some clients then because don't know how to deal with life. And basically, well, yeah, we do not need Akashic record sessions when we're in tune with what's the single best next step to do. And that's how far we actually need to know about our future. What is the coolest next thing that we can do? And trying to know more usually creates expectations, and then we end up not doing what we would do without knowing, and the thing doesn't come true.
Yeah, because that next step could seem that it makes no sense.
Mhm.
Like, where is this leading? But if the right intention has been put, what we have lassoed is the end, the best end result, that is actually stepping back and giving us just the first step. And we will see on the retrospect why this was the right move, if we didn't know right then and there. So that's really interesting. That often for the best steps, we will have no idea why we are stepping exactly in this way.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
There's another aspect of how precisely or how well we see things outside of our immediate environment. And it comes with the planets when you were born, and what gift you put for yourself in your heart. And if you do have, for example, some of those clairvoyant planets and like the intuition planet in the right space, that means that you do have a talent and you have to develop it. It's not, it's better to do something with it than let it just sit there. And if we do have some help from our birth chart in that area, that means that we not only can, but we have to, because it will be like a tool that, why do we have it if we don't use it? So checking the birth chart for if there's any favorable condition for seeing, and then using it as a tool, it's also something to consider. For example, I do have those planets for seeing in the future, in the past, and it comes from other lifetimes. And that little
we're looking for Neptune and its position, whether it's positioned to be deceiving or is its position to be actually channeling.
Receiving.
Because it can be totally delusional or it can be receiving an antenna. And we're also looking at Jupiter that has a different way of channeling, depending on where it's standing. It could be either, boastful and preachy, or it can actually channel the informational stuff. And the third one would be Mercury. So these three planets, depending on how they are kind of combining, it's really kind of telling us about the gift that you have chosen to come with in this incarnation.
And for example, galactic astrology, when we look at that level, those planets even have a name. So if the Pythia, seeing in the future, or like the Delphi Oracle, seeing in the past. So those are all things, if they're there, they're meant to be there, and we have to use them. So that probably led me to this innocent workshop of the third eye opening, and it opened so many more things than the third eye. But the question is how to trust. Like Zane said, how do you know what you see? And that question stayed active for a long time also for me, because I couldn't help but, even sitting in a restaurant, I see exactly where the person sitting on the next table, what's their problem, how they're going to end up, and they're like, oh, this is sad to see that they're kind of taking a super slow way where actually there's a door standing right next to them. So sometimes this of course, unsolicited seeing, it's never to be shared. It's only if people ask. But also when it's asked, we have to be very careful how much we disclose and what is actually useful and helpful. The advantage of Akashic records is that that information is not purely your channeling. It's given to you through, the beings, and it will be whatever the person is ready to receive. So it's quite safe. You can't.
The guardians are taking responsibility in a way.
Yeah. But direct channeling can reveal very beautifully deep layers of truth for the person. For example, some of you have experienced when you come to me, I do those crystal readings, and or just look into your soul, what's going on there, and I can choose the image. I'm telling this because Eve said about cartoons and it's kind of zooming by without control. Well, I choose to see those things in cartoon way, because it's it's fun for me. So I always, let's say, if I have to see what's your soul image at the moment, it will always give something a little bit exaggerated, a little bit funny, to emphasize what's the main character or flavor of your being at that moment. And that is a skill, actually, to understand how far you have to stand back and try not to interpret what you see, and try not to add, well, let's say mind things, but it's not only mind things. How do you transmit the information from the field that you receive from the other person? So as Sylvia said, that she feels the other person, she feels what they feel, yeah, and then you have a capacity of getting it through the mind and verbalizing it in a specific way. But on the way, the mind has tendency to add, embellish, and and to make a story out of it. So that is a part where the training is crucial, where every vision has to be backed up with a sensation and with a feeling and with something happening in a physical reality. So, for example, if if a person comes, lays down on my table, and I tune in and I feel that, I see immediately the images that are suggested to me from the person and from their mindset. So it's very important that if you find that you are seeing the things in the same way, that means it's your filter. If you are seeing things that you wouldn't even think about, that's where you actually tuned into the other person and their mindset, and you're feeling from their mindset in order to translate back what you perceive. Yeah. So, for example, when you receive a visual information from someone, let's say a heartbreak, separation, or something like this, then you also check what do you feel in the body. When you feel in the body the same feeling, like heaviness and distress or something, you have already two elements out of three. And then you open your eyes, and for example, well, I'm giving this example because the guy in question had literally a t-shirt with a heart that was crossed over, and it said it all. So that's the physical confirmation of the thing. Or someone who is very confused would always come wearing something like chaotic patterns outfit. And when I ask, so how did you choose what you wear? I just grabbed the last, actually I didn't want to put that, but last minute, I had a stain, so I put this. So always when it comes from at least three sources, the visual is backed up by feeling and by something in the physical reality backing it up, you can go for it and you can be very confident that this information is ready to be released, and it's completely accurate for what it needs to be. And even when it's not accurate, uh, let's say basic fortune tellers, yeah, well, they speak from their mindset, and they can give very damaging information about what to do with your lover and how to get him back.
Stuff that
It's
can stay for years, like saying at 54 you will get sick, so like then waiting till you're 54, it's crazy, very damaging.
yeah, but also that is accurate. Like even the worst tarot reading, which is not done by Sylvia, of course, but done by anyone with kind of basic level of personal development, even the worst tarot reading will be accurate for the person in that moment of time, even if it has to serve a lesson of don't put your nose where you're not supposed to. Yeah. So in a way, we can say that you can never channel wrong, because it will always be right for the person who is receiving. So there's no real doubt needed. Even if you channel, let's say, wrong for yourself and it leads you to some places, well, it's only to understand that maybe, yeah, it does take a training, and maybe, yeah, you should have taken that class of learning how to do it. So in a way, trusting the moment that nothing can fundamentally go wrong, but double checking if you're really interested in constructive channeling, then double checking with
Three
these
layers,
three
three
layers.
confirmations.
That is pretty much a stable way to go.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And Vanita, this that you are sharing, that you used to be able to see strange things until you were about 4, about 8 or 10 years old, that freaked you out. And then you prayed not to see it anymore. And then now you're only feeling. That's very interesting. And that layer is also a layer in itself. It is a layer of, collective unconsciousness and collective fears. And at some point, during the energetic work, it is a task of some people to actually help humanity face very painful, torturous moment that humanity has experienced in order to um, go on another side and to overcome it and to heal them. So not many people will be willingly looking at this, but some people who are strong enough that are willing to go through that can heal tens of thousands, millions of people by actually experiencing those painful moments themselves and transmuting that fear and pain in themselves, and then getting to another level and deeper into uh, the phenomena of the universe, universal consciousness. So for you, what had happened is you have been exposed to those visions that come from that collective uh, repository of horrendous ideas and stories without your being actually choosing it personally. So great that you have found a way out of it so that you don't have to be exposed to it. A lot of kids have nightmares from that same place. But at some point, we are actually getting ready to face these things and to say, okay, well, at some point, we need to see them in order that the whole humanity transmutes the horrors that humanity has made so that we can go up to the next level.
Yeah, so it's wise to activate this the vision when we feel confident that we're able to deal with it, because this is exactly what happens to most people when they have visions as young kids. They see dead people, ghosts, everything, and they just can't cope with it because there's no context for it. Yeah. But when we understand that it's a tool and it's a special doorway that's already there, so Vanita, you can also kindly ask it back. Yeah. And what is actually needed in that condition, as Pepe is saying, in the course he was saying, your foundation needs to be strong enough for the upper chakras to open properly. Yeah. Because an ungrounded vision will always be out of space, out of time, and out of use, because it will not be attached to what you're actually living. So it will not be useful. It will not mean anything in that moment. It will not be, it's like really opening the doors in a hotel and seeing for that snapshot of moment who is doing what inside of behind every door. It's not, well, it can be fun, and it can be used also by beings who want to interact with you. And let's say if you remember the movie Sixth Sense, yeah, the boy who could see the ghosts, so the ghosts were trying to tell him, like, help us to leave and all that. So that's always happening when people are a little bit sensitive. The stuck beings are looking for a way to be released, and it can become very burdensome to, because the beings from the invisible realms, they actually see who can see them, and they go for it. And some of them try to infuse their images, or to create visions just for fun. And that's a big interference, actually. It's creating a lot of unnecessary frustrations for the person who is seeing things that are not really true, and who channel the beings who don't have the highest intentions, and it can last for a long time. So we have friends who literally would channel what to wear, or where to go, how many steps right, how many steps left, And it all made sense because it felt very real, that I have to be in that place because, you know, I was guided to it. I clearly saw that I have to be there. But if those base chakras are not grounded, this information will, okay, maybe there is a reason why you have to be in that place, but because you're not grounded, you will not understand what to do in that place. Yeah. So it will be the vision that will have no consequences, no practical consequences.
It's almost like a pinball being, you know, like going left and right because something has told me to do it, but each of those left and rights is taking part of the energy. It's not free to follow everybody's advice. So that's why that discernment is super important.
Yeah. And so when we, first of all, when we have our grounding in place, the visions will match what our actual situation is and what is useful for us. There will not be things that are out of what we need to know. And that makes it really nice and clear. Then when our third chakra is in place, so we are in charge of our body. And I'm thinking of you, Anna, if you are still there somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of you, Anna, because Anna has a strong connection with ancestors and other beings, so she's very open. So when we don't inhabit fully our body, those other beings are trying to stream through us their information, and they're trying to kick the original person a little bit on the side. So some beings make the original host drink so that they can speak, they can live through. Some push the original host on the side and try to take place. So owning our power means like we inhabit our body and we choose who we allow to channel through us, when and how and for what purpose. So literally, like there's a door and there's a guardian at the door, which is you. So not anyone can just come in, jump and start telling things and channeling. So and when the second chakra is in place, so we're not trying to become popular by, you know, channeling things to people because it's always very attractive, because it has been fascination since
That would be
forever.
a wrong motivation, that
Yeah.
to do it because it's out of the ordinary and making us popular.
Yeah, so we don't try to create sensation by, you know, forecasting things or gathering. Like now it's very popular, like millions of people are channeling something about what will happen in the world, and they're all very convincing, and they, you know, in their reality it's very real. And we have to understand that even the awfulest set of information, for the one who channels, it's completely real, because they're totally in that and they feel it fully. When you receive channeled information, you read it or something, if you don't have at least a 3-level cross check in your personal reality, however believable it might sound, you don't take it as your reality. You always need to recheck personally and also see what's the level of integrity of the person who is presenting that information. It's yeah, there are very little regulations in what can be said and what can be channeled. So the highest degree of discernment is needed in that.
Yeah.
And about the so Lisa, yes.
So can you tell me then, for me, channeling and intuition are entirely different things. Yeah. Channeling is channeling and intuition is intuition. Intuition is a very, very body engaging with what I see as reality, connection, but that's so it's like, I don't know, it's do you think they're different? Because for me, they're not, it's not the same thing. It's channeling for me is, and you know what I think about channelers, but it's a very, very disconnected, disembodied, I don't know. Yeah. Charlatans.
Well, you know, channeling is coming from that antenna, which is literally there. So when you say there's itchy sensation or pulsating or something happening in there, it's a magnetic center. Yeah. So that means that, you know, that magnetic center is being activated and something wants to come through. Yet your computer might have a blank screen. It might not be connected to the image making. Yeah. So we might be receiving the information, but we still don't see the picture. So that's where the writing it or trying to let it out in through other outlet than the eyes, you know, would be helpful. And channeling usually happens because you chose to. It doesn't kind of you know, spontaneously occur, because it's this magnetic center that is tuned to a certain frequency somewhere in the big cosmic soup of all frequencies, and it's perceiving and entering in resonance with something. So on this planet, unfortunately, most of the time, what this magnetic center enters in resonance with is you know, those mind control waves. Yeah. So, and that's how you see channelers kind of collectively agreeing on some channeled material that, you know, comes from light beings, aliens, whatever, and they seem to all say the same thing. Well, except that it's broadcasted somewhere, probably from CIA basement, and with very specific ingredients to mislead, to deceive, and to make people, you know, lose time in a way. But it's this magnetic center that perceives information that's outside of your immediate timeline. Yeah.
And so
Channel-
that is why, you know, for like this discussion this evening, today, yesterday, that it is so important for us, so important to be really focusing on intuition and not funneling something through from, as you say, it's, you know, it's electromagnetic. It's just, stick to the real.
Exactly. Stick to the real. And if you don't have any confirmation of what you're channeling in a real, that means it's a mind control brainwave coming from somewhere.
Or just tuning into something that is,
Or a probability.
it must be confirmed.
Yeah.
If it's not confirmed, like these 3 levels, then you don't have just enough information to call it anything. It could just be your thoughts, you know, or whatever else.
Well, we also can have very vivid imagination and feel it very real. So when we don't have control of, as of the origin of like who emits that initial brainwave that we're picking up and translating through us, that's where we don't know. We don't know how useful and how, or maybe it's just creating more noise, you know. I have seen so many cases where the channeling led to exactly nothing, and more than nothing, it led to waste of time, and time is something that we don't have that much, so we better be mindful where, you know, where it goes. So unless, sometimes channeling can save time, because, you know, you tune in, you get your information, so you don't make like unnecessary moves. But sometimes, if it's not checked, it can lead you to the place where you lose so much more time in going in loops and circles to find that, you know, it was all illusion. And it's all fine, you know, it's a part of the journey. How much of it do we need to come back to the simple truth that everything is in our body here and now, and what we need to know for the next step, this is the only thing we actually need to know. So everything else is a journey, it's an experience, it's on the side. But the intuition is what helps us to make the next best decision, and that's where we need to focus with all our might, bring all this attention from not where I'll be in 5 years from now, but what is the next best step that I can or must do right now. Because it might be that this next best step will be something that will build your dream in 5 years. But if you focus on that instead of what's right in front of you, you might miss the whole ordeal. Yeah. So that's why, for me, without saying what is most important, I would more trust the intuition in the moment. And then when we look back, we say, but that's why I had to this, because then that. Yeah. So definitely, it's a different approach, because also answering Giacomo's question about that there's issue in reading about the timeline and how to interpret it, because we are very volatile. I mean, we know that time doesn't really exist, but when we want to see in the future, even 3 months from now, there's so many possibilities. There's one that's more energized than others, but at any given moment we can just change it all, and it's completely unreliable. For example, in my pendulum work, I never ever ask anything about the future. It's completely useless. It never, I tried, it's never coming true, because it's, in that realm, we cannot get the information about time from the realm where there's no time. It doesn't mean anything. As Tridakna would say, there are only two big cosmic appointments that the whole universe follows, which is 21st of March and 21st of September. It's well, the June and those are
Yeah.
equinoxes, but let's say four equinoxes and solstices are the 4 points where the universe agrees on time, because it's a cycle of sun and constellation in our universe. But other than that, the time, we cannot predict anything in time, and that's why those predictions, channelings in the future, or prophecies, they don't really work, because you cannot get information about time from
Well,
space with no
because
time.
at every 4 seconds, you have 6 new timelines sprouting. So you can imagine what the tree of possible timelines are if every event, every 4 seconds, generates 6 new possible timelines at the same time. So it really depends which one you have latched to. So you might have latched to the one next to the one where what the person is going to have really in their life, and you give them another option, which is equally true on some level, but not in their particular life.
Mm-hmm. If you have seen the movie Sliding Doors, yeah, it explains quite well. There's a lesson that the soul needs to understand. So how does it get there? So it was a story about whether the girl finds out that the husband is cheating, or she doesn't find out.
The
And
point was, does she enter the metro or the door closes before
yeah,
she gets into the metro? And
in one
completely two
case,
lives.
yeah, she finds out that
Yeah.
the guy is cheating, so she leaves him straight away. In other kind, she doesn't see that guy is cheating,
So
and
she
they
leaves
go on for
later on.
longer, but she leaves him anyways.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of the setting, but it's completely useless, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion. It's completely useless to know anything in time, because it kind of fixes the things in the future and robs the joy of discovering it. I mean, I don't like the presents that I know what they're going to be, and I absolutely hate gift cards or money or something like this as a present, because all I want is to unwrap and not know what there is. There might be a metro ticket in the package, but still, it's more exciting than anything that I know that it's going to be. So, well, the life works the same way, at least for me, that I don't want to know what and when. I want to discover it, like bit by bit. Otherwise, otherwise what, you sit and wait for
But yeah,
things to come true.
interesting thing is this: those predictions can turn into self-fulfilled prophecies, like that illness that is projected to happen in 8 years. The person so much expects it to happen that it actually is called into existence. So that's the danger of those bad superficial readings and trusting them.
Yeah, which also, obviously is a part of the person's journey. But about time, no, we cannot reliably position things in time, because there's so many variables that we have no control over and no idea about, that interfere in the middle, that it's all a possibility. So imagine if you have your current moment is here, and that, let's say, the future where you are meeting your love of your life is here, but it's not like that. There are many millions of dots connecting the space in between one event and the other. So which way it will take and how, it will depend on how engaged the person is in their own life, in their own journey, and how serious they are about it. It's not about waiting for it to kind of somehow come. It's about engagement with it. So yeah, that's about time. Difficult. And Vanita, about seeing spirits, um, as I said previously, it might be a good idea to get a little more information or training in what to do with spirits, because if you have the gift of seeing them and they are actually looking for that contact, it might be that there's something to develop there. And even though it might be scary, what is scary is only the things we don't know, when we don't know what to do with them. I was scared of spirits until I understood that all they want is just an energy form that wants to be released from where they're stuck, and then poof puff, and I mean, it's easy enough. They just maybe look or feel scary because they don't really have a shape. But if you read Sadhguru's book about death, where he explains, or any of his videos, he explains what the ghosts finally are. And when you just understand that they are energy forms that can be dissolved, that everything is just energy and awful is just our interpretation, then maybe you can turn it into some really powerful tool. I would say if it's there in your life, it is there for a reason. You might give it a chance.
Lisa, did you have a question, or that's the hand
The
is
old
up from
hand.
before?
I just wanted to ask, so with intuition and intention and maybe mood. So again, a couple of weeks ago, in a beautiful bay that had a single, the most incredible catamaran in this bay. And I was in the mood to say, you know what, if the person on that boat came and asked me to go on the boat with them, I'd go, and I'd just leave my van and I'd just piss off forever. And so that was my mood. And from that mood, the intention was set. And the following day, I walked down from my van onto the beach, and there was a man walking. We met at exactly the same time, and he was the boat owner, and he asked me onto the boat. So
how are you in your van then?
that's the thing. It's like this lack of seriousness. Like, I was fully in the mood and I had the full intention of, like, I'm going to get on that boat and I'm going to go. And it happened. And it was like intuitively knowing, like, at this point, standing at my van and and then just turning around and just going, no, I've got to go down on the beach now, walking down and onto the beach, and there he was. And it's like the waste of time. I mean, it was fantastic. It was like, oh my God, what an amazing opportunity that would have been. This man, sailing around the world, and it's like, oh, cool, take me to Australia first and let me off. But so my lack of seriousness, like, but I'm in the moment then, and I'm really serious in that moment with that mood and that intention, but it's actually not. It's just, I just love going into the depths of the drama of me. But then to be mindful of these, it's like, intuitively, I know that I'm talking shit. but I'm not. So can you talk about intention, like the intention around all of it that can really, it's like opening up these, intuitively knowing that I've got it, and it's like, that's really not where you, like you're saying, every 6 seconds, options opening up and all of that kind of thing. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. It's excellent question, Lisa, because in our Make a Wish and Make It Happen, we actually touched on this, that this is the best mood to literally manifest instantly, because you don't want it really, it would be cool, but you don't have any pressure because it's not existentially important, and you're in fully focused and dedicated in that moment. Plus the timeline is very close, so it only took to put the guy in the right moment on the right path. Yeah, so universe said, okay, easy peasy, like, here you go, you get what you asked for. Well, then you can zoom out and see, what does it mean in your reality? So why did you want it at the first place? What are you telling yourself with it? What is underlying that thing?
What was the full intention that you have broadcasted with your mind and words, but also with your subconscious messages that you have sent, which are 10,000 times stronger than what your mind and your word was. So what else were you commanding?
So what did you want to get rid of the van? And that was a way. Did you want to get out of New Zealand? Did you want the man? Or did you want
you guys know I want the boat. That's what I want, is the boat.
But, Lisa, think bigger. We're all waiting for your boat. So
and that's the thing. It's like, that's the underlying, is the boat. And it's like, well, that's, you get given a little toy, little remote control boat. It's like, no, universe. But that's my own fault for not asking the right question. I've just gone, I want to go on that boat. All right, go on that boat then.
Because the big boat, Lisa, would be important for you, and you would actually want it. So you wouldn't be as neutral, partial, and like, I want this, yeah. And that's the whole problem. That for that message to be entirely clear, you have to be ready to have it or not have it, but very, very sincerely, and your subconscious mind has to completely agree on that. So that's why you kind of hit the smallest thing, but that you don't really put the pressure on, and it worked. So the real message for you in this case was that you showed yourself that you have a power to manifest it, but you showed also that you're not confident in making the big thing happen. Yeah, you have to work on that little part where, with same ease, you could manifest the 40-meter boat and have all of us there, and it would be as spontaneous and as effortless, because there's still something a little bit about the effort in your system, that it can't be that easy, and that comes from where. Yeah, so same, it can't be that easy goes for channeling and visions, that sometimes we think it can't be that easy, that I'm just perceiving the right thing to do, and we always doubt it, and then but I was right. So when we do have a true intuition and gut feeling, the next thing is but it can't be, it can't be that, it's too easy. Yet the intuition, the very quality of intuition, and this is, I have proven it my life 100 times, million times, that the intuition will always give the easiest option, the easiest, the most effortless, because the nature is very nature is not wasteful. Nature is straight to the point. So when you're tuned in the nature, in your body, and you're asking from there, with eyes closed, with hands like this, with hands in the eyes, in the ears, wherever you want to put your hands. But when you make a ritual to connect to yourself and say, okay, like, what is the next best step? The nature, your body through the nature, will give you the easiest and the most effortless next step, because that's the nature of the nature. It doesn't do extra moves.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not wasteful.
Yeah. and that's what you need to remember. It goes for everyone, that when it seems too easy, maybe it actually is that easy. Yeah. And it's our mind that we had this discussion this
One's
morning
level,
about.
so which level of drama is necessary for you to go through. So yeah. Vanita, you had a question, and then
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, do you know when an artist does their art, whether it is like painting or dancing, is that because I'm also a dancer, so it feels like, and I do it Indian classical dance style. So and that has a lot of the history and the origin of it is very spiritually based, and it's connected to the Hindu gods and stuff like that. The stories are connected to Hindu gods. At least that's the traditional dance. And I'm wondering, do you? Because I feel as if when I'm dancing, especially when I'm performing or even when I'm practicing, and I'm completely in it, it feels as if it's not me who is dancing, especially if somebody has taken pictures of it or videos of it. And I'm like, wow, I'm good. But it's not me. It doesn't feel as if it's an effort. You know what I mean? And there is a whole different energy to it when I'm dancing. And and I see that sometimes also in the work that I do as a drama therapist, like facilitating workshops and things like that. So I'm wondering whether is that um, kind of a channel. What is that? What would you call that?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful question. Funny enough, we have actually the answer to that came in the last session of our course with Pepe, who is a musician and has learned how to play shakuhachi, this Japanese flute, within a framework of a temple. So it was this devotional approach to the art where, very humbly he had allowed the higher, uh, uh, let's say, inspiration to come through him and express through his fingers and the flute. But what was necessary is to develop, to work for years with technique to kind of enable the body to be able to be folded in all those possible ways that the divine can speak through it. So pretty much that artist expression can come from the place of the second chakra or from the place of the seventh and sixth and seventh chakras. If it goes from the place of the second chakra, then you have these people who are interested in their public persona and like how they're going to be judged, how popular they're going to be. And this is like most of the popular music scene. But what you're talking about is when you don't have that concern whatsoever and you're connected to the literally flows. What are these divinities that you are talking about? They're Hindu divinities. They're specific, organized, and named forms of energy that we gave names, and you are allowing them to animate you. Yes, they have name, they are explained to you through the time of working with Hindu divinities. You have embodied that form of energy that is called that name, and you are enabling it to actually play you almost like a puppet while you are dancing, and you cannot even recognize yourself.
Exactly. Pepe would say you are giving Shakti good time.
Mm-hmm.
You're lending your body
Mm-hmm.
to the divine to dance through you. And it's a beautiful process because both sides, if you feel like exalted and energized after that, that means really divine danced with you and through you. If you feel exhausted, well, then other kind of spirits that just use the opportunity and openness to do it. So it's always, and it goes for channeling as well. If you channel or connect or whatever, and after you feel exhausted, you have to double check, what you were connected to, because
the divinities will give you
always give you
extra
back.
energy, so you will be well rewarded because everybody was joyful.
Yeah.
And they are really they don't have the physical body, and they are super grateful that they can express themselves through your body that you have lended to them, and they will definitely reward you with loads of energy to and experiences to be uplifted after, and not down, for sure. And that's one of your checks to whom you were connected.
Yeah. Any
And
feeling of exhaustion during anything you do is a warning that you have to see where the energy went and why it didn't come back, for example.
Mhm.
But I think in your case it's purely devotional act. So it's really, you know, the little space where human and divine can dance together
Yeah.
in a way. Voila.
Thanks also to Miriam. She wrote
Yeah, and Miriam, the group intuition, so people coming with same color clothes or same physical issue is synchronicity. So if they are intuitive, they will tune to the event where they're coming to. So, and yeah, the intuition will make them put the certain clothes, like people coming for the sessions, they're mostly like unconsciously dressing or preparing. So the subconscious will put on the exact same thing, the exact right thing for the event. Yeah. Uh, Whether it's a conscious intuition, maybe not, but it's being in this very light field of receptiveness. For example, I have a friend who is coming every now and then, and for example, one time he came with you know, paints and brushes, and he genuinely didn't know why did he have to take a big bucket of paints and brushes. And it turned out that we painted a fresco on the wall, but if we didn't have those paints, we wouldn't be able to paint. So sometimes being very careful to these seemingly illogical, what do I take with me, what do I not take, especially before trip or before going to event. That's where we have to be careful. If you looked at that charger, take it. You might need it, you know. Coming from the trip where we actually needed it, I was like, ah, again. And if you looked at that, you know, place that you would like to go there. It's like really capturing these little details that you think about and then dismiss because, oh, you know, but why? The mind says, but you don't need it, you know. And that's what happens in constellations. People are guided through their subconscious because the whole process is about subconscious, and it makes sense in the event why and who, especially which people. Those who are not supposed to be there will have something else to do. Those who are transparent enough will be receptive to that call and just follow the invitation, you know. So that comes from that intuition, from the body, from the sensations. I feel like going, I don't feel like going.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's an interesting thing about that morphogenetic field that you're mentioning there. We like the work of Chris Beisch. We talked about it. He had explored human consciousness, and he went for 20 years or 20 years, I think, in exploration of deeper and deeper levels of human consciousness using some mind-altering substances. Anyway, he had visited the deeper and deeper level of first individual consciousness, then group consciousness, then oneness, and then deeper and deeper and deeper. At the same time, he was a professor at the university. He was teaching parallel religion, Buddhism, and a couple of other subjects. So his experience was that the examples that he would give at his classes would all of a sudden, students would come back to him and say, oh my God, the example you gave was exactly what had happened to me a few days ago. How did you even read into my mind? So what actually seems to be happening is that there is this permeability between our psyches, and this is that morphogenetic field that you're talking about. So people are tuning into each other's mindset, so to speak. So we see the stories, and the point is the deeper level of the universe that we have actually embodied is almost contagious. It is calling onto the psyches of people around, and almost like a water being on the lower level than the other water, it calls all the water to come in and feel and come and experience this deeper level of consciousness together with this person. So just by the fact that he has been there and inhabited, it's not he thought about it, he was there and embodied that experience, had magnetized others in his class to have those spontaneous revelations that had nothing to do with the words that were spoken. It is just the level of consciousness that he brought into the room, had magnetized, that his words had superpower in providing these revelations to his students that have ended up always in some really great change in their life. Nothing, never some sort of problem or some sort of getting lower in their life. They would either decide to leave their job and get something better. So this is what we are trying to say is, sometimes it doesn't matter which words we say when we are in a group like this. What happens is, what is our collective consciousness as a group? What is this deepest level that we have embodied? And there are these mystical ways in which our consciousnesses are interacting and opening up the new paths for our lives. And I'm sure that this happens on your sessions that you are giving to people. They are coming, and as a group, then this in group intelligence is magnetizing people even before they come to your session to put the same color clothes, because this is important for something that is going to be happening at the session itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Eve.
It's funny because it's funny what you're saying. It's kind of like resonating with what's something that happened for me personally this last week. You both know I'm quite heavily involved with the Gene Keys community, and there's something called the Delta program. I'm sure you guys have heard of it, and it's something that Richard Rudd kind of created, and it's about 7 specific gene keys that relate to a particular harmonic. And there were 7 of us in the group, and we all take different positions, and we work together for 7 weeks as a collective consciousness. And we were all coming to the end of our week, and we were really like a group of people that were really committed. Like you could really feel that there were huge shifts happening for us, all of us, as we worked together. And there's a new online retreat taking place in the next couple of weeks, starting, and the organizers had arranged for like 10 free tickets, and 2 of us won the ticket out of God knows how many people that applied. Another guy had got a job with the Gene Keys that's set in the 7 weeks, and then had also managed to get a free ticket in. And another guy who was a little bit short on cash had, because he's been such a devoted person, he also asked for a scholarship, and he also got a free entry into it. So it was like, out of 7 of us, 4 of us got this. It was like we were all just like, is this real? Like, because we were all so enchanted by like how it works. And it was almost like our reward for showing up, doing our work, doing our shadow work, working together, committing. And it was really powerful to be a part of that, as a little group, and seeing real shifts happening for all of us in our own individual lives when we work together. So it was really cool.
Yeah, fantastic. And this is where actually that intuition meets the trust, the ultimate trust in life.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to know how, you just need to trust that when you become, a worthy member for shifting the collective consciousness, well, you'll be called in somehow, somewhere, and you don't really need to exactly know how. And it's beautiful that momentum that you gained with the first work actually wants to expand itself, so it puts your physical body in another situation where you can do the same. So it's very cool. And
Yeah, my position, my last position was the 7th, and that was actually the that particular gene key of intuition, of unease, intuition, clarity. So yeah, it was a really great week to finish on for me. So yeah.
Yeah, and you know, his gene key is a fantastic thing. Is you just open and read one, and it starts happening. So
yes,
that is that mystical connection where it's already beyond what we can comprehend. How the intuition brings us to the subject or to the entry door in the transformation, and
yeah.
trust it enough. It's really, it can produce miracles.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really struck me about this particular gene key and how intuition is linked through the DNA is that it's linked specifically to when we were actually in utero in our mother's wombs, and how, depending on how her frequency was, might have had quite an impact on how our intuition operates. It's really looking at that imprinting, like on us as little babies, and how, you know, how we resonated with the field around us when we were in our mother's womb. So that's been like a real, like, huge curiosity for me, and looking into like being little, you know, and your whole meet parents thing, you know, like how entwined that is, you know, with how we move through the world. So yeah, it's really powerful.
Yes, exactly. Yet even they, you know, we can always trace back that we have had exactly the womb that we needed to match our set. You know, if we were meant to be intuitive, then, you know, like me, I had a Scorpio mother who is highly intuitive. So she had intuition in the right place and still does. So if I was not meant to channel anything, I would have, you know, another set of criteria. So it all brings us to where we need to be. So our only job is to stay alert, aware, and on track. Like being aware of our immediate moment, and, you know, how harmonious it is. So there's one last thing that I wanted to mention about that rabbit hole, yeah, because one thing that we didn't really cover is what happens in shamanic journeys and like guided meditations, because many people really see those things that are mentioned in guided meditations. Let's say you lift yourself out of your body through the roof, you land in a meadow, a horse greets you, you go with the horse, you know, the classical parkour. So if we attach importance to what color of the horse, or, you know, who exactly was there, we get into the story of the one who is suggesting it. Yeah. And then we have to be very careful what's the frequency of that person guiding it, because it will bring to what is his or her association of the elements, of the guardians of temple, etc. But then when you understand the whole point of the shamanic journey is to reach a place within your subconscious where you can change something, you understand that you can also do without rowing through the underworlds. Yeah, it's perfectly fine that you just, you know, sit and establish your own direct elevator down to your subconscious and do what you need to do there. You don't need the super action with animals and stuff if you know how to do it by yourself. So the shamanic journeys, guided ones, will at the best take you to that place where you can do the thing and you don't have to be in charge. It's like a bus, takes you to the place and where you can do what you need to do. But the individual self-guided shamanic journeys can actually turn into the rabbit hole if we are not aware of the quality of sensations that we need to observe at all times. So a little tricky feelings in the shamanic journey usually indicates that someone has taken advantage of that moment of openness to, you know, take you into their realms, and it's not of much value, the visions that come through that. But if you self-guide yourself in a shamanic journey with a very clear intention and not like a tourist, but you really want to do something on your subconscious, it's better that you craft your own journey with minimum of archetypes or names or figures possible. Like, go for the intention, what it is that you want to release or change. Like we do this, our alter ego retrieving, recycling procedure, you know, that's straight to the point, and it's equivalent of 1 year of shamanic journeys, you know, to retrieve pieces of the soul, where you actually, you know, straightforward re-embody your own lost alter ego. So that's why not dwelling on any methods that are lengthy or super visual, you need super visualize, it can save you time and get you straight to where you need to be in a very kind of simple and clear ways, which are your own. So, you know,
They cannot be abused.
Yeah, they cannot be abused. So the less middlemen on your journey, the more efficient will be the end result.
So all of those like trainings in shamanism and whichever trainings we have received, we can look at them kind of like guidelines. So this is how certain civilizations have done it. But then really being active seeker would be to simplify those and make them your own and understand what is the underlying principle, and then use it using your own archetypes, your own words, your own quick elevator by, again, double checking how real it is for you. It's not like I'm imagining it and there is no confirmation. By knowing that our body is exact mirror as the outside universe, well, then that means that I can feel on my body any point of the universe. So if, you know, we are finding that shortcut, you find that archetype that you really feel, you really know what it is, you really do something with it and check with your physical body that the work has been done. And this is the ultimate shortcut for all of those methods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really advisable to really start using those shortcuts as soon as we feel ready.
So then the short resume is build your foundation so that you are grounded and inhabiting your body and completely neutral about life and things, and build that instant confirmation of what's right and what's wrong for you out of what your body can offer you at any given moment, right here, right now. And most often we don't need any tools, it's all there. And if you need some extra confidence to believe in it, then hang out with people who are very good at it. It actually, you know, rubs off. When you're around people who know how to connect well, it somehow transmits to you. So if you're insecure about your channeling or visions or whatever, just hang out with someone who is good at it, and it will transmit that frequency of calm understanding about how to interpret the feelings. And then don't dig in the future and just enjoy the moment of now and wrap every day as a new
and
gift.
Create future rather than kind of look in some imaginary.
And be like Lisa, but aim for something that's actually meaningful. Not the vote that you don't want. Voilà, guys, that's what we have for today.
And some of you enjoyed those dragons, Komodo dragons.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.